Greetings, YouTube. I just was looking at something and they mentioned a bomb threat in it. And I'm not even going to try to monetize this video. And one of the things about bomb threats that's always baffled me is why would you call into a place and tell them there's a bomb if there was actually a bomb? The purpose of a bomb is to destroy a building and its occupants. That's why you do it. If you want to destroy a building without occupants, there are times of the day when you could do that, or at least minimize the risk to human life. So your average bomber is designed to create terror. They want to kill people. So why would you give warning to the people that are your target to leave the targeted area? And this comes up this comes up annually at my company. Why? Because we have training to what we're supposed to do in case of natural disasters and a bomb threat or an active shooter. Yeah, we have to run through this every single year. And we actually have a place where we all gather in case of a natural disaster, like hurricanes or tornadoes or something, because it's a large room in the center of the building that has no windows and it's got concrete walls on all sides. So it's pretty much the safest space in the entire structure. And it's large enough that it could actually hold all of us, though none of us are going to have a great deal of elbow room. And they always talk about bomb threats. And every time I bring it up to my boss, it's like, they're not going to call it in if there's an actual threat. They're just going to detonate the device. You call in a bomb threat because you want to interrupt some activity. Maybe you're going to force extortion. Maybe you're trying to stop an event from happening. For example, you call a bomb threat into some place where people are gathering and you are in disagreement with those people. You don't want those people to gather, so you call the bomb threat in so they can't gather. It's a tactic used by social conservatives for, as long as bombs have existed. It's useful. You call a bomb threat in and suddenly they have to cancel a speech or they have to cancel a rally because there's always that risk. Admittedly, it's incredibly small because, again, if you're going to blow up people, you don't call a bomb threat in. Now, I know that there's at least one case where a mass shooting took place, and the way that the mass shooter got the people to be concentrated so that the mass shooting could be more efficient was to pull a fire alarm. Because most institutions have policies that say, well, if there's a fire, you all gather here. That way you're away from the structure and everybody can get a head count, and we can now know, are there still anybody inside? Because if we don't have the proper head count, now we have to send in firefighters into a potentially, truly dangerous situation if there's a fire to look for people. And if we've just gotten the head count wrong, we're putting firefighters' lives at risk for no reason. Saving a building is far less important than saving the lives inside the building. So having a gathering point and so that you can take a head count is standard procedure in most businesses. We have the same thing at my company. We have gathering points in case of a fire. And yes, I have been at my job and there have been actual fires. And we had to leave the building because there were fires. It's a thing sometimes when you work in manufacturing. None of them have been serious. They were all taken care of. Damage was incredibly minimal. But we did have to wait outside till the fire people showed up. The firefighters assessed the situation, made sure everything was sorted, and then we can go back in. It's absolutely no fun when it's wintertime. But you don't call a bomb threat in if there are people in there. But if you pull a fire alarm and they all gather outside for you, or a bomb threat and they all gather outside for you, you've just created a shooting range. Now that's a real thing. That has happened. So a policy that's been put into place to save people's lives has been used by bad actors to put people's lives at risk, and in some cases killed them. And it's The issue is the bad actors. It isn't that the policy of wanting to gather outside a building that has potentially got a fire or a bomb is bad. It's just that bad actors can use those policies against people. That's what bad actors do. They find ways of hurting people. It's their entire shtick. Um, Now, I was working at a company once, and it was in manufacturing, and someone actually called the bomb threat in, and they evacuated the office, and they never told the people on out in the factory floor. We never heard about it. So, if you were going to blow a building for real, would you blow it up by putting a bomb in the office, or would you blow it up by putting a bomb next to the huge tanks of volatile chemicals? Just saying, that second one may be a more efficient method than the former, than the first one. But they cleared the offices out because, those are the important people, and they never told the folks on the floor. We didn't find out about this till quite some time later. Like days later, we found out. He said, "You're joking." He said, "No, no, we're not joking. They cleaned the offices out and they didn't tell us." Awesome. I'm so glad that we have prioritized whose lives are more important than others. But yeah, so whenever I see somebody talking about a bomb threat, the reality is it's a tool of terrorism. It's designed to create terror for an incredibly cost-efficient method. You've just terrorized someone. You've made them feel unsafe in their place of business or where they go to school or a gathering spot for a rally or for a public speech or in their own home. That's an act of terror. You've succeeded at your task for, again, an incredibly small expenditure of time and money. It's not difficult to drop a dime from a public phone, well, if you can find a public phone. And it's not difficult to make a threat from a burner phone that has no connection to anyone in the world. And there's no way to trace it to you at all. So these kind of things drive me nuts when I see them about how, there's a bomb in there. There's probably not a bomb in there. Because, again, you don't call it in if you want to actually kill people. So let's talk about bomb threats. Have you ever had to live through one? Have you ever had to have the kind of training I've had, in the event of, natural disaster or active shooter or a bomb threat where you have to gather so that we have a head count? And do you think these policies are smart? And have you ever experienced them being used by a bad actor? I mean, it's a good way to get people out of a building if you just want to rob it. I mean, it's efficient. It gets people out of the building. And now you have free access to stuff that you normally wouldn't because it's full of people. I mean, at least that's a harmless act. It's just, property crime. But these things have been used to do far more damage in the past to, actual human lives. So let's talk about bomb threats and knowing that I will never have this monetized.